A federal judge in the US state of Louisiana has blocked an attempt to lift COVID restrictions on immigrants seeking asylum. The checks, known as Title 42, were introduced by the Trump administration in early 2020 and have since been used to deport more than 1 million migrants. And 2 US Secret Service employees have been sent back to America from South Korea after reports they were drinking and got into a fight. Local police, hotel security and 2 other individuals are said to have also been involved. Both were part of a team preparing for President Biden's visit. Polls are open in Australia's general election, with voters choosing between the incumbent Scott Morrison and his rival, the Labour leader Anthony Albanese. The World Health Organization convenes a meeting to discuss the global rise in monkeypox infections. More than 100 cases are reported across 11 countries outside Africa. Risking their lives to escape, how an easing of US sanctions comes amid an exodus of Cubans trying to reach America.
But the current dire economic circumstances mean that this exodus is more acute than it has been for many years.
And double fault for Wimbledon, as it's stripped of its ranking points over its decision to ban Russian players from this year's championships because of the war in Ukraine. To tennis now, and Wimbledon has been stripped of its ranking points from the sport's governing bodies. It comes after its decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players from competing at this summer's championships because of the war in Ukraine. BBC Sport's Lizzie Greenwood-Hughes has more on the story.
The background is that the All England Lawn Tennis Association, the LTA, they decided to ban Russian and Belarusian athletes from Wimbledon in response to what's happening in Ukraine, obviously the war in Ukraine. So they decided to do that. Now, that didn't go down particularly well with the ATP, that's the Men's World Tour, or the WTA, the Women's Tour, and now the ITF, which look after wheelchair tennis and junior tennis. And they said in their statement that they didn't really want to have to do this, but they said, we see no option but to remove ATP ranking points from Wimbledon for 2022. Now, what that means is that the event, to you and I, kind of would be exactly the same. It would still be a major tournament. It would still have all the big names, although obviously not Russian names, and one of those would be the world number 2, Daniil Medvedev. But it would still essentially be Wimbledon. But for the players, they wouldn't gain any ranking points, and that sort of means it's essentially more like an exhibition event. It's not a sort of affiliated to those world tours. And so they've made this decision. Now, it hasn't gone down particularly well with Wimbledon. They said they're deeply disappointed by the decision. They called it disproportionate in the context of the exceptional and extreme circumstances of the situation and damaging to all players who compete on the tour. But as I say, the ATP, that's the Men's World Tour, they felt they had no choice really but to bring in some sort of sanction because they didn't agree with the decision by the Lawn Tennis Association to ban all Russian and Belarusian athletes from all UK grass court tournaments. This doesn't affect, though, Queen's and Nottingham and Birmingham, some of the other grass court tournaments in the UK. It's just Wimbledon.